Hello, everybody. Welcome back to HavoKast. Today, we are talking about Iron Maiden's fourth studio album in a legendary run through the 80s, an often overlooked album because of how legendary the run was. A lot of people like the first few albums. A lot of people like the last couple of albums in the 80s. And to be honest, there's so much good stuff here. I totally get it. So it's sandwiched between Power Slave, which is just an epic, awesome album, and then Number the Beast, which is an all-time greatest classic kind of album, especially in 80s metal and metal in general. This album, Peace of Mind, is so good still. It's such a dark horse kind of like top 5 album for this discography. And it's a dynamic album too. There's a lot of different themes in here. Like I said, the tone itself is a little darker. The album itself, the writing is just so different theme-wise compared to where we've been. And it's awesome. I love it. I think it's just a really good style. It always sounds like Iron Maiden. Every album sounds like Iron Maiden, but they vary up the tones they use, the themes, everything just enough so you don't rest on one sound. You don't rely on one sound. Any hardcore Iron Maiden fan, if you pulled out a song and said, what is this tone from? Like just the guitar tone, you could tell what album it was from just based on that. And I think that's awesome that they do that. Because like I say, any band that can switch up their sound enough means you won't rest on that same sound. They still have the formula. They're still Iron Maiden. However, they go from one epic album to another epic album. You don't sit there and say, oh, well, everything up until this point sounded this way, and now it doesn't anymore. No, like you're always constantly reinventing the sound. And I think that's great. I love it. So like I say, Power Slave has a little bit of a brighter tone. It is, of course, an epic album. A lot of great songs, a lot of hits on there. Very different theming and styles and stuff. Number of the Beast, it's just this very in-your-face 80s sounding album. I mean, it is 80s all the way. Great harmonies, great solos, and just iconic Iron Maiden sound. This album falls a little bit in between that, but with this darker, more gloomy, ominous sound almost. Some of these songs, Flight of Icarus has this trudging, like chugging kind of feel to it almost, where you're just going along. You can kind of feel the protagonist doing what they have to do in the song. You can, Still Life is such a dark song as well, but I love it. I love the different themes. It's not always this bright, uplifting kind of sound. It's not always telling a story that we feel good about. It's a story that we want to hear though. And I think that's really good what Peace of Mind has done. Now, like I say, it flies under the radar a little bit. It's got a lot of love recently, which has been awesome, but Peace of Mind still, to me, I feel like is a pretty underrated album. It's hard, though, because, like I say, the whole 80s discography is just a masterclass in great music, great songs, great album themes all around. And something I love about them is there's not a lot of filler within any of these albums. You get about 8 to 9 songs in most of these albums, sometimes a couple more, but for the most part during the 80s, you had just your songs, your 8 to 9 songs that were just very good, well-written all the way through. Not a ton of filler. And so Peace of Mind falls right into that category. We got 9 songs on there, and I want to start it out with number 9. Now, the album itself does not have a bad song per se. It has a couple that I'm not too fond of, but I could see people liking them. However, I will say most of the songs on this album are fighting for all time. There are some, in my opinion, very, very good songs. Even spots 6 and 7, like they could easily be people's number 1 and 2. They could easily be people's top 10 songs. I mean, there's so many good songs on this album. There's no real losers in this album. The only ones, like I say, these two, 9 and 8 for me. And number 9 being Quest for Fire. That song, I'm just not a fan of the theming of it. And also Quest for Fire itself, to me, that's the closest thing I would say. I don't think it's a filler song. I don't think, like I say, there's not a whole lot on any of these albums in the 80s that I feel like are filler songs. But this one, it always felt like to me just didn't have what the rest of the album had as far as writing, lyrics, the melody and harmony. Even the solos were good, but it just seemed like it was stuff they had laying around that they wanted to kind of put together. And I don't think that it was necessarily something awful. I think they did a very good job, but I just, compared to the rest of the album, I just never, it's never a song I seek out. It's never a song I look for. And to me, it is definitely the one that sits here at number 9. I'm pretty sure a lot of people kind of feel that way, but I wouldn't be, again, any one of these songs on this album, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in a drastically different order. At number 8, we are going to go with Sun and Steel. And Sun and Steel to me has always been a little more over the top. It's felt like, again, some of the lyrics don't really work for me in this one. Same with Quest for Fire. I think these two songs lyrically felt very, maybe at the bottom of the whole 80s. I don't love the storytelling or where it's going. Or this song has always felt very upbeat to me. And the theming just didn't quite fit in the album either. I like this. It's a fun song, Sun and Steel, every now and then. It gets stuck in your head. But it just always was a little cheesy to me, a little over the top. And I think Flash of the Blade in Power Slave felt a little, honestly, a little more like what this song should have been, the direction they should have taken that, where it really did feel very intense compared to this one. But yeah, Sun and Steel to me, it's like I say, it's a fun, upbeat kind of song. The theming, the phrasing of the guitar, everything kind of, it works, but it's just, to me, I'm not a huge lover of, really just this song. I think it's a good song. I don't think it's a great one. And this album is filled with bangers. It's filled with great songs. Pretty much that's it. It just doesn't stand up to the rest, in my opinion. Not a ton to say about it. Like I say, it's fun to hang out and listen to this song. I remember my friend and I were driving around and this one came on and we were like, man, it's almost a little comical, but it sounds like a song they were kind of having fun with. It's almost like if you took Flash of the Blade and Holy Smoke and put them together, phrasing-wise, theme-wise, everything like that, tonally. That's kind of where Sun and Steel comes in. That's kind of what you get, I feel like. And I don't know if that's a great description or not, but that's just always kind of how it felt to me. But yeah, it just doesn't stand up. I will say the next 7 songs, though, every single one of these are absolutely amazing, and I love every single one of these songs. It's a shame that I'm even ranking them because, realistically, how do you put greatness in order like this? It's like picking 1A, 1B, 1C even at this point, but we're going to go with number 7, and that is To Tame Land. To Tame Land is the epic song on the album. It is one of those that is just very well written. I like it a lot. I absolutely love the theme. It's a great theme. It sticks to that darker tone. There's a great build-up, incredible solo. It's just the whole song is so good, and I love it very much. I just think out of the top 7 songs on this album, it's the last one I think about. Maybe that's just because of where it comes in the album order, or where where my mood is, where my head's at when I'm listening to these. I always listen to Iron Maiden when I want to feel energy and feel a rush. But the thing about Iron Maiden is I often will be working out or working or walking or whatever I'm doing, something with a W, I guess. And I'll be listening to music on shuffle, and I'll say, I really hope an Iron Maiden song doesn't come on right now, because if it does, then all I'll want to do is listen to Iron Maiden. And essentially that's what happens. So an Iron Maiden song will come on, I might listen to the album, whatever, and I'll just go through all of them. It's not necessarily the first one I gravitate towards. However, if To Tame Land is that song that comes on, I'm hooked, I'm in. That is a song I'm listening to. So I love the song. I'd love to see it live. I haven't yet, but talk about a great song. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, number 7, it just, to me, I think it's just surrounded by greatness, not even just within the album, but also the epics. You know, you got Hallowed Be Thy Name, you got Rime of the Ancient Mariner before and after on the albums previous and after this album. It just feels like it doesn't stack up as well, but it's still very, very good. But we'll move on to number 6, Flight of Icarus. And this song is kind of in the same boat when it comes to what I was saying about like the epics back and forth. Flight of Icarus on this album itself, I think Where Eagles Dare for me and Flight of Icarus have always kind of been that mirror image of each other, where they're telling a story, of course, and I know it's very different subject matter, of course. However, I always felt like Flight of Icarus was kind of that more darker down tone, and Where Eagles Dare was more of that same side of the, or same coin, but the other side, where it's more that uplifting, upbeat kind of like, hey, we're soaring. This is, there's so many metaphors in there. There's so much imagery, but it all feels more positive, where Icarus, of course, he flies too close to the sun, this and that. It's just, it feels very much like a heaven and hell kind of thing. But I like looking at it that way. I like looking at it that two sides of the same coin. And Icarus to me was always dark. It was always that more like that chugging, marching kind of, you're just in there. It's heavy. It feels very, very raw. And I love the tone. I love the sound. It's another one of those songs. I mean, to be number 6, but there's so many good songs on this album. You just have to put it somewhere, and it's really, really freaking good. I love this song. But yeah, I mean, again, just great Iron Maiden stuff within the album, and great Iron Maiden stuff within the song. The solo, there's harmonies. The vocal performance is fantastic throughout the song. But I think that kind of brings us right into number 5, which is Where Eagles Dare. And to me, that song, like I say, it's more the uplifting, the positive. It's we got a new drummer, and we're going to start by having Nicko McBrain come in with the freaking drum fill that everybody knows, Where Eagles Dare. What a great way to start off the album. What a great way to introduce a new band member. What a great way to just kick this one off. Because it is this like, it feels to me like a bridge the gap moment. We just came off of Number of the Beast, and it was a very 80s harmony filled, falsetto laden album where there's just all of this tonal shift and everything, and we run right into Where Eagles Dare that has to bridge the gap into this now darker, slower in places, more I can't think of the better word for it, but chugging is what comes to mind. Like, you're just kind of moving forward, you're pushing forward, marching almost, kind of anthemic songs. And there's obviously a couple in here that are very much more upbeat. But Flight of Icarus comes to mind, To Tame a Land comes to mind, even Revelations, where you just feel like you are kind of marching, kind of in it. And Where Eagles Dare breaks that mold a little bit. A lot of cool things they do in this album. And Where Eagles Dare is no exception as a song. Like I say, the drum fill intro, the riffs themselves are just so well written in this. And then, of course, you have just some of those filler, like there's sound effects and things that happen in the actual song, which add just this ambience and everything. It's really cool what they do. I mean, this rattling effect. I love Where Eagles Dare. It always gets me going. And the only reason it's not higher is because it's a very good song. But I think the next 3 songs are so well written. And then the top 1 song, my favorite song on this one, is just a masterpiece. And I'm talking like music masterpiece, transcends Iron Maiden and is just a masterpiece in general. So yeah, I think especially Where Eagles Dare, Flight of Icarus, they're just very well written, similar sounding, kind of heaven and hell, different tones there. I like it a lot. I've always pictured it like that. I'm not sure if that was the intention or not, but boy, Great album, great songs. You're going to find nothing but greatness on this album. I really wish people would give Peace of Mind another look if they haven't really felt it, because I think you'll find some great stuff on here. But I'm going to stop rambling. We will move on. Number 4, Still Life. It's just beautiful. It's brilliant. It's so well written. It is a great song, and talk about dark themes. The whole thing is just a tonally just deep song. Very well written again. I can't say that enough about this song. There's so many guitar intricacies, and Iron Maiden shows what they can do during this time period in a very different way while still feeling Iron Maiden. And it's a song that I think gets a good amount of credit for how many good songs are on this album, but still deserves so much more credit. I think it's such an underrated song even still. But yeah, Bruce's performance on this song especially. He has some really, really fantastic performances on here. I think in Number of the Beast, he sounded incredible, of course, but kind of was just going for it. And it was always a lot of falsetto. It was always a lot of, let's get high. Let's make our voice high. Let's shout. We'll have, these classic Bruce screams and everything like that. This, I feel like he really was all over the place. He's got this mellow moment, and then he builds it up. And it's just, there's so much emotion in this album, and especially this song. It is so good. I really love it. And I think it is just such a kick-ass way to take your tone and your music in a different direction. I really do love what they've done. Just it's the same. Like I keep saying this, it's the same band and the same feel. However, it just feels very different, but in a good way. And I love that they're able to capture that. Number 3, we're going to go with a guilty pleasure of mine for sure, without a doubt, Die With Your Boots On. I think this song doesn't get a lot of love, and I get it. I think Die With Your Boots On, kind of like how Flight of Icarus and Where Eagles Dare are kind of almost opposites, but in that same category. I think Die With Your Boots On is kind of like a lesser version of The Trooper. And I'm talking about a way lesser version. So I think if people look at it that way, I could see why that song does not fill in with any of the other ones or stand up. However, I've always loved this song. I've always thought I played a lot of sports growing up, and to me, this song is the song that always played. It wasn't The Trooper, it wasn't anything else, but this is the song that always made me think, like, just go until the end. Go until you can't go anymore. This is the moment. Like, just die with your boots on. Die doing what you love. Die doing what you need to do. Die, for the good of whatever you're doing. It had that message to me always. It always kind of spoke to me. But I also really like the writing. I think that's I don't know why it's so overlooked, but that guitar riff is so freaking cool. That intro to it and the harmony in this song, I love harmonies. I love them. I'm a sucker for them. They always get me. But my God, this just absolutely kicks ass. I love Die With Your Boots On. This is a song I would love to see live. We're running out of time, but my God, it is so freaking powerful to me. I love this song. And talk about dark themes. This is another one of those like dark theme songs. But my God, it works so well. I love it. In my opinion, this is a highly underrated, overlooked song. I get it, though. It might not be your thing. It is a very different kind of Maiden style song. And it definitely, it could be misconstrued as a little cheesy depending on how you're looking at the messaging and theming, but it works for me. And that's just it. Obviously, if you have a different opinion, that is totally valid. I totally get it. But yeah, I've always loved this song a lot, which brings me to The Trooper at number 2. And for me, The Trooper is a song that it doesn't matter how many times it's played. I know it is played to death. It is so overplayed, but it's not like Run to the Hills. It's not like even Fear of the Dark for me or Number of the Beast, where I'm like, all right, I've heard that. Like The Trooper, I think because of how short it is, I think it's just one of those songs that you always want more. Anytime I put this song on in one of the live streams or whatever I'm doing, people are like, what is this song? This song is great. Like, this is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It begs you to get more. It's so, as far as writing goes, it is one of the more simple songs on this album, writing wise, but delivered in such a powerful way. And Bruce just does his thing. One of Bruce's probably standout performances. The whole band getting in with the gang vocals and everything like that. The solo, God, it's so good. And the craziest thing is, if you see The Trooper live, the dual solo, it's just like, how can you make something incredible even better? Because a lot of times you throw, this extra solo on, or we're doing this gimmicky kind of thing. And it definitely, like, there's a lot of bands or more of a good thing is not always good. But in this case, it is fantastic. And they just do a phenomenal job of making this song fresh live. They do a great job of telling a story. There's so many layers to the song. You think, okay, the instrumentals, the tapping or the hammer on pull offs, everything's really good. The bass, of course, is just thunderous. It's awesome. And then you got the story itself. You got Bruce's vocals. The drumming is excellent. It just is such a powerful feeling song. And I can't ignore it. I cannot ignore it. I don't care how many times the song is played. To me, this song is just so good. And it's like, I'll watch rankings and things like that, and I'll see people put very overplayed or well-known songs up at the top, and I'm like, yeah, I see it coming. I get it. There's better songs, whatever. This is not one of those songs, though. If people have The Trooper high up, I get it. I totally get it. I don't know that I necessarily have it in top 10, but it's close, I think, all time. But yeah, I love this song. It is an easy number 2 here. Arguably number 1. However, I think number 1 for me, Revelations, is just so beautiful. I mean, this song is actually a beautiful song. And it's got everything. Everything this album has done, it feels like this song embodies all of it. There are fast bits, there are slow bits, there's well-written bits, there's harmonies. The story that's being told is poetic and incredible. Listen to the lyrics. Listen to the emotion Bruce is putting in his vocals. Revelations I've seen live, and it was mind-blowing. But it's got the dark theme. It's got every direction this album's going in, and it just does it all so well. The tone is immaculate. I mean, this song is emotionally moving. It is such a charged, wonderful song, and it is so... I mean, beautiful is the perfect word for this song. I don't necessarily describe a lot of Iron Maiden songs as beautiful, but God, this one just speaks. It's so fantastic. And if you have not heard it or given it really a listen, it might not be your thing, because I get, like, there's a lot of people that like metal that just want to hear fast. They just want to hear solos. They want to hear crazy. I get it. Believe me, there's a time and a place for me, especially when that's that kind of music. But boy, Revelations is one of those that comes on, and it's almost like my Desperado in the Seinfeld episode where Elaine's boyfriend is sitting there and just gets entranced by a song and you can't even talk to him. But this is that song for me. It's so atmospheric. Like, that's one of my favorite qualities to any kind of song, especially Iron Maiden songs. God, Revelations is just that song to me. I absolutely love it. I adore it. And that is my list for Peace of Mind. It's a hard album to rank, though. Like I say, anything 1 through 7, I mean, really 2 through 7, because Revelations is a pretty easy number 1 for me. I kind of knew that right away. But 2 through 7, I mean, you could put them in any order and probably come away feeling pretty good about that, because there's just so much good on this album. So much hidden gems, so much to love, so much to listen to and explore with Iron Maiden. But yeah, Peace of Mind. That's the 4th album in the books. We're gonna do Power Slave next. That's another one where there's so many good songs on that album too. Like I say, there's not a whole lot of filler in the 80s, so this is not a real easy chore. But to recap, we had Quest for Fire at number 9, Sun and Steel at number 8, To Tame Land at 7, 6 was Flight of Icarus, 5 was Where Eagles Dare, 4 is Still Life, 3 Die With Your Boots On, 2 The Trooper, and number 1 Revelations. Y'all, please don't be afraid to suggest things if you want me to check out any other music or list any other things off that we're not already doing. Like, I have no problem with that. Talk about what your list looks like, your favorite songs or any of that stuff. Like, I'm happy to discuss any of this. There's no wrong answer. It's all stuff we love. We love it for a reason. It's like food or anything, You wouldn't eat something you don't like, and you wouldn't say you hated something you actually loved eating, That's just kind of how music is too. And I love that. I respect that. And I appreciate y'all for being here. So thank you for everything. And I will see you in the next one.